Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are still working on Julius Caesar, and today we get to hear from Marcus Brutus in Act 4, Scene 3. So if you will remember, Caesar is now dead. The conspirators have now fled. Mark Antony, and young Octavius Caesar are amassing armies. Brutus and Cassius are amassing armies. Brutus and Cassius were sniping at each other like children the last couple days. That's an insult to children. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be mean to kids. Kids are lovely. But they were sniping at each other. There's a sound. Sorry, my radiators are sounding like a dog in pain. Anyway, they were sniping at each other because both thought that the other one had slighted him, and then finally Cassius is like, all right, if you're gonna be that mad about it, here's my dagger, just stab me in the heart. And Brutus is like, no, like I was mad, I was in a bad mood, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a poet outside who's like, you guys shouldn't be fighting. And they're like, ha ha ha, we've already resolved our things. And they say, call in Messala and Titinius, who are a couple of their cohorts, fellow generals, whatever, that are going to come in and help them strategize. And while we're waiting for Messala and Titinius to come in, we find out that Brutus knows that Portia has died, and the reasoning for her death is given as Brutus was away for so very long, and then word that Antony and Octavius were gaining such strength just stressed her out, and so she ate fire and died. People take that however they want to. I'm gonna say that she drank poison because that makes sense. Anyway, so then Messala and Titinius come in and they sit and they're like, yeah, we've heard that Octavius and Mark Antony are marching towards Philippi, and they had 100 senators killed. And then they're like, no, we heard it was only 70 senators killed, but the important thing being Cicero, one of the fellow conspirators, was one of these senators who was killed. So we've just gotten 2 offstage big important deaths happen in like 10 lines or something like that. And then Messala's like, have you heard anything from Portia? And Brutus is like, why, no, I haven't, have you? And Messala's like, I heard that she died. And Brutus is like, yeah, that sucks. Moving on. Anyway, it's an interesting moment. So they go back to talking about the fact that Octavius Caesar and Mark Antony are marching towards Philippi, and Brutus is like, what do you think? Should we start marching and meet them at Philippi? And Cassius is like, no. Because if we stay here, by the time their army gets here, they'll be worn out and exhausted and much easier to beat. And Brutus is like, well, I get what you're saying, but there's a lot of towns in between there and here where they could make friends and amass an even bigger army as they are coming. So yeah, and Cassius is like, and Marcus Brutus says, under your pardon, you must note beside that we have tried the utmost of our friends. Our legions are brimful, our cause is ripe. The enemy increaseth every day. We, at the height, are ready to decline. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures. I'm guessing that you've heard one of those lines before, that whole there is a tide in the affairs of men bit. But yeah, basically what he's saying, adding on to the fact that Antony and Octavius could gather more soldiers as they come to where Brutus and Cassius are. Brutus and Cassius are kind of exhausted in terms of who they can ask for help. Like they've amassed as big of an army as they can. They've already talked to all of their friends. They've gotten all the stuff. They are as strong as they are going to be at this point. So Brutus's point is, we are as strong as we're going to be at this point, and if we don't attack now, we're going to lose steam, we're going to lose momentum, and things are going to fall apart for us. Which is what that whole thing means. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted all the voyages of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. It means that when you're rolling along and you have really great momentum for things, you need to take advantage of the opportunities that you have, and then things will be great. If you don't pay attention to that, then your fortunes are going to fall off and you will not be quite so fortunate as if you had taken advantage of the opportunities. So anyway, that's Brutus's point of view on this whole thing. So they're like, okay, fine, yeah, I guess we'll march toward Philippi. That'll be a thing. We'll go. And everybody like says their proper goodbyes and all that sort of thing. No, this isn't. I think that's later. I'll come back to that later if that is actually now and I missed it. No, that's definitely later. Anyway, they decide that they will march toward Philippi, and Cassius and Messala and Titinius all leave. Brutus calls in his servant Lucius and says, hey, get those couple other guys here into my tent, and then we will get into Brutus's unrestful sleep tomorrow. I'll see you then. Mwah.